Hey, my little stars. It is episode 2 of Stella Going Stellar, and I am actually really excited for today's episode. We are going to be looking at the newest gold rush, and who doesn't love gold? So, what is this gold rush I'm talking about? Well, it is women using men for money, and it's actually selling women really short. So let's talk about this trend I keep seeing everywhere, glamorizing gold digging and basically sugar baby culture, and why it's actually robbing women of power instead of giving them power. Now, I have a huge personal stake in this. I'm a businesswoman, a real estate broker, a personal trainer, a life coach, an entrepreneur, a business owner. I'm fully self made, and seeing women live their life like this is making me sad. If I'm self made, you can be too, and we don't have to rely on men anymore. So, what's going on culturally right now? We have women glorifying being taken care of and living a luxurious lifestyle without having to work for it. They call it empowering, but really it's actually just disguised dependency. It's not being feminine or embracing your soft femininity. It's really just you relying on another human being for your way of life. I think that's a huge problem. Women are being fed this fantasy of staying pretty to get paid as if it were a job. I really believe this is the reason why plastic surgery and just physical alterations and Botox and filler and everything of that nature has become so huge. Women want to stay pretty, they want to stay young. Why? Because eventually you get older and beauty fades, and then, oh no, like, what are you going to rely on then? Who's going to buy you those Chanel bags and fly you out to the Hamptons when you don't look 21 anymore? It's so messed up. It's so messed up, and we see it on reality TV, we see it on TV shows, we see it most obviously on social media. It's like you open your phone and that's the first thing you see, these unrealistic beauty standards. It's women getting Chanel bags left and right, being sugar babies. Why is this being normalized so much? Why is this a trend? Why is Delulu culture such a thing? Like, I'm sorry, but you're not manifesting a luxurious life. You're just building dependency, basically. Everyone wants a luxurious life. I want a luxurious life. Like, if you tell me that you don't, I probably won't believe you, because having a nice way of life is something that people really work for their entire lives. Think of the American dream, any job. Like, you want to take care of your family, yourself. You want to be able to afford nice things. Obviously, it's not going to buy you happiness, but it's going to buy you comfort. It's going to buy you, nice activities and experiences with your family and your kids one day and your significant other. So money does matter, but I really don't think that depending on men is the way to get it. Instead, you just put in the work. You bet on yourself. You take risks. You start a business. You do what's harder, not necessarily easier, and you work for it. And trust me, when you accomplish what you want to accomplish, it will feel so much better than just being given it. So, what really is the problem with relying on men? Maybe there are really magical men out there who don't care that women age and understand that it's a part of life. And they won't focus on our cellulite and our wrinkles one day and our thinning hair and just, different looking bodies. Maybe those men exist, so why is it even a problem? Maybe they won't ever leave us, and that would be great, and we can just live like this forever. Well, here's what I have to say to that. When you trade your ambition for attention, you'll always need an audience to feel worthy. You're never going to feel content. You'll never fully feel validated because you'll never really know what the other person is thinking. It's a life filled of living in uncertainty and constant anxiety. Women lose leverage, purpose, and even protection when relying on someone else's paycheck because that paycheck isn't yours, it's theirs. Like, one day you have it, the next you don't. Pretty fades, skills scale, right? If you start working on a skill right now, let's say you've always wanted to write a book and you start writing today, you're going to get better and better and better and better to the point where one day you'll be in like your 30s or however old or however long it takes you and you'll be the next J.K. Rowling. Like, who knows? Maybe you start investing time in learning how to trade stocks or whatever. Eventually, you're going to get really good at it. If you take the same amount of time and energy you put into making sure you stay pretty or young or whatever into something else like a skill, eventually you'll be able to leverage that, right? Because intelligence is cumulative, experience is cumulative. It all comes with experience and trying over and over and over again. Whereas beauty, like, yes, it's important. And if you're really focusing on your looks to feel good about yourself and not from an external source of validation, then yes, by all means, like, go work out, go on those long walks, invest in your skincare, like, do all of that. But make sure it's not the only thing you're focusing on because there are so many other skills and qualities that will take you so much further in life than just putting time and energy into your looks. If your survival depends on someone else's mood, you're not living, you're basically just negotiating. One day, you'll be the most attractive, beautiful person they've ever seen. The next day, you won't be, and somebody else will get their attention. And we see this happen all the time, and women just sit back like, why? The most gorgeous women get cheated on. Why? It's not because they're ugly. Like, they're beautiful. They're so beautiful. Everyone wants to be them. It's because men are just men, and there's no other explanation behind it. No amount of Botox and filler would have gotten them to not cheat on them. But when something like that happens and you've spent your time and energy focusing on something else and building another skill, you're not going to feel like you're worthless because you'll have other things to lean back on, is what I'm trying to say. Go learn a language, start learning French, and then go to France and use it. And it'll feel so empowering when you can talk to people in French. It'll be so cool, I promise. Or start really working out. Eventually, the changes you'll see and the strength you'll gain will make hitting weights so much more fun. You'll feel so strong and so empowered by it. There's so many different skills you can start and so many different skills you can scale. Being provided for is empower, but being irreplaceable is. And what makes you irreplaceable? It's those skills, it's those qualities. You know, you'll just go walk on the street for a second, go walk on a really busy street and look around. You're gonna see all these beautiful people. There are so many beautiful people out there to the point where you can't necessarily compete. That's impossible. Everyone's definition of beautiful is different. There is no single prettiest girl in the world or most handsome man. That doesn't exist. But if you invest your time and your energy in other skills, that will make you irreplaceable. There's not a lot of people out there with the same experiences that you have. Actually, there's none. It's those experiences and skills you've gained that make you irreplaceable. It's what will make people really see your value. It's not how you look. It's what you bring to the table. Okay? And you have to start bringing more to the table besides how you look. That can't be what you lead with. It shouldn't be what you lead with. I'm not going to sit here and say that looks aren't important. I think I've made that clear. Looks can bring you a lot of self-validation and confidence, but it shouldn't be the thing you lead with. What you lead with should be your unique skill set and experiences and wisdom and personality, things that other people can't have. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, being unique is a really good thing, okay? Being unique is what will make you irreplaceable. All these different types of plastic surgery that I keep seeing, like, do the opposite. They make everyone look the same. They make people feel replaceable. And that sucks to say because nobody should be replaceable. But you have all these girls that are starting to look alike and act alike to the point where men don't see their worth. They don't see their unique skill set and experiences and minds and intelligence. They just see faces that all just start to blend into each other, and obviously, you know, eventually they basically just discard you, and it's not the end of the world for them because they'll just go on their phones and find a second option. It's just how it goes. So relying on these men isn't going to give you that security that you're looking for. This like lack of control that you get by relying on men is really just a lack of freedom too. Freedom that you won't be able to negotiate back. It's freedom that you give up the moment you start depending on them. Okay? Like, you set the stage for how a relationship is going to go in the very beginning. The way you present yourself in the beginning is so important because it's how men decide how to treat you for the rest of the relationship. All right, on a lighter note, let's talk about what self-sufficiency really means. I want to make it abundantly clear that I'm not hating on men. I have a boyfriend that I love so much. Men are great. I just want to make sure that you guys understand that you don't need one to survive, okay? Men are not essential for our survival. If anything, it's probably the opposite. They need us to survive. And I want everybody to just be self-sufficient and know how to feel that way. So how does one become self-sufficient? It's basically what I was saying earlier, building skills, assets, and holding on to our ambition. I want you to take a second and think about a younger version of you. Specifically, I want you to think about the first time someone asked you what you wanted to be when you grow up. And I'm sure we've been asked this so many times before to the point where you can't even really think back to the first time you were asked that. Like, I don't know. I don't know when the first time I was asked that was, but I do know what my answer was really on in life before other people's opinions and experiences and whatever kind of clouded what I wanted from life. When I was younger, I would always say I wanted to be an actress or a fashion designer, something creative. And then eventually I kept hearing how not a lot of people become actresses and, you know, it's not a really secure profession. And being a fashion designer doesn't make a lot of money. And honestly, I wasn't really aware of that when I was younger, and I didn't really have a good sense of like money until I'd say probably middle school. That's when I started to really like understand, okay, like money is pretty important. And I guess the reason why we get jobs is to make money. And that is the moment where I guess my perspective on life kind of went downhill. I now think back at that and I think, wow, I wish somebody could tell me that that's not the reason why we get jobs. Like, yes, we get jobs, I guess, to be able to survive, but jobs should enable us to live. And how does one live? One lives by being creative and following their dreams and doing what they love. I find myself truly living when I'm happy and doing things that I enjoy. I'm not really living when I'm doing something I don't like just because I feel like I need to do it. And the reason why I'm talking about this is because I want you to relate your truest forms of dreams and goals for yourselves as ambition at its rawest form. That to me is true ambition. It's not ambition clouded by societal norms and needing to make money and careers that are more respected than others and what career your parents wanted you to have and whatever. That isn't really your ambition. That's like society and all these background characters influencing you, and you are the main character. It's not them. So you really need to find what your true ambition is. So think back for a second and really filter through all your memories and whatever and find what that is. Okay. Now, once you've got that source of ambition, pursue it. It's never too late. It's literally never too late to restart and follow your dreams. And I know it's easier said than done, but confidence and identity is rooted in your sense of self and ambition, not in a relationship. Notice how what you want it to be when you grow up wasn't relying on a man or depending on a man. It wasn't that. You wanted to actually accomplish something for yourself. And if you sit there and you tell me that you haven't wanted to accomplish something for yourself ever, you haven't wanted to do something with your life ever, I simply won't believe you. Like, I'm sorry, I really won't. Like, stop lying to me. Stop lying to yourself. I know you've wanted to do something, so just do it. Okay? Like, literally just do it. And it really is the more stellar way to live your life. It's how you go stellar. It's by following your ambition and having that drive and betting on yourself. Stop betting on a man when you can bet on yourself. If you have a dream, go pursue it. If you have a goal, work towards it. Don't let a man be your source of identity. That's not what identity is. That's not what confidence is. It doesn't come from another person. It comes from you. Okay? An example I like to think of, I guess that's pretty relevant to today, is Hailey Bieber. You know, her skincare line, Rhode, just sold for $1 billion. Being married to Justin Bieber didn't give her $1 billion. Starting her own brand and betting on herself did. She was rejected by Sephora years ago. Like, come on. And now she's worth billions of dollars. If that doesn't tell you to bet on yourself, I don't know what will. Yes, being married to Justin Bieber definitely gave her a lot of publicity and exposure and maybe more opportunities that she had prior to being so famous by marrying him. But it was her own ambition and what she wanted to get out of life that led her to starting Rhode and now sitting on top of $1 billion. That is ambition, that is confidence, and that is identity. And that is what truly self-sufficiency is. She doesn't need Justin Bieber to be a billionaire anymore. If anything, he needs her. Okay? That should be your goal too. We don't need men. We don't need men. You need to build that life, and he can just be the cherry on top. You know, like going through life alone obviously isn't as exciting and fun. I don't want to go through life alone. I think that shared experiences are so much more valuable and memorable. Having a life partner, key word partner, will make everything so much more fun and just great. I don't want like a life dad or like, I don't know, a life, what would the opposite of partner be? Like a life boss? I want a life partner. I want someone to like do life with and build an empire with and support each other and give us that emotional support to achieve things. I don't want that financial support. I want that emotional support because that goes a much longer way than money ever will. Money runs out, emotional support does not. Emotional support will get you through so much more. Just remembering that you're not alone will get you through so much more. You'll keep pushing. You won't give up on yourself. When you feel like you're self doubting yourself, sometimes it's really nice to have someone to remind you, hey, like, look, remember why you started and remember why you're gonna finish the job. Like, you're not just gonna give up. Finishing is just as important as starting. It's the in between that gets really lonely, and having a life partner is just great to remind yourself that you can make it all the way. I want to talk a little bit about myself and how I came to this conclusion of why relying on men isn't the move. And it really kind of struck me a couple years ago when I asked myself a really simple question. I asked myself, would I date myself right now based off of what I bring to the table? Would I date myself right now based off of what I bring to the table? And if the answer is no, that's kind of when you need to take a step back and ask yourself why and really work on that why. And when I asked myself this question a couple years ago, the answer was no. Like, granted, I was just coming out of a relationship and I was not in the best place already. And I decided that I just had to be single for a little bit and really bring the best version of myself possible. And so, what did I do? I graduated college. I started living abroad for a little bit just so I could get that emotional clarity away from everyone. I feel like not being surrounded by people who have known me since I was young, like really young, really helped. Because that's the thing with self-evolution is the more you evolve, the more confusing it's going to get for other people. They're going to want to hold on to that younger version of you, and that's just going to hold you back, right? Sometimes just leaving everyone and having that space and freedom to really grow and decide what you want out of life is super, super necessary. And you don't have to move out of the country like I did. I fully left for like half a year, and it took me a while to figure out what I wanted to do. But maybe it'll only take you a month or a couple of weeks, or maybe just like a weekend trip, whatever you need to just get that mental clarity, I promise will take you a really long way. And you need to be alone for this. You need to not let other people's opinions and influences get to you. You need to decide what you want to do for you and not for them. And especially not for this younger, older, outdated version of you. Because guess what? A rebrand is great. I love a rebrand. I have rebranded so many times, and the common denominator has always been me taking a step back, kind of not necessarily fully self-isolating, but not hanging out with my friends as much, taking more time to myself to like really, really, really understand what I want to do and what the rebrand is going to look like and how I'm going to get there and why I want to get there, right? And so this was 2023. I had just graduated from college, and I was like, okay, I need to get out of here. I need to leave the country. I need to fully just leave the country. I was not in a great spot mentally. And I just had to start over, right? So I moved to Spain, and I was there for about 6 months. And when I was there, I came to the conclusion that I no longer wanted to go to law school, which had literally always been the plan since I was 5. And I felt so guilty about it because the thing about having a new goal or a new dream or a new purpose in life is the fact that you're going to have to let this younger version of you down, like severely. Like, what do you mean I'm not going to be a lawyer? I just kept thinking about this like little version of me who just walked around wanting to be a lawyer. This was after my dreams of being an actress and a fashion designer got really shot down. And being a lawyer was like what I had landed on from middle school up until college, right? I was a poli-sci and econ major in undergrad. Like, what are you gonna do with that besides go to law school, right? It was really my plan all along. And understanding that that wasn't the right track for me was really, really hard. And it took me half a year to understand that I no longer wanted that. And I felt so guilty because not only was I letting myself down, I felt like I was letting my parents down and everyone's expectations of what I was yet to accomplish. And I wouldn't have been able to do it if I was in an environment with those same people constantly involved in my decision making for myself. Okay? And when I came back to the US after living in Spain, guess what? I totally backslid and was like started studying for the LSAT again because I don't know, just living with my parents again, that was just constantly like the biggest topic of conversation. When are you taking the LSAT? When are you applying to law school? And eventually I was like, okay, like maybe I'm just like scared and I don't want to like fail the LSAT and maybe that's why I don't want to go to law school. And so I studied for the LSAT and I took the LSAT and I did fine on the LSAT. And then when it came time to applying for law school, I didn't do it because that would have felt like the biggest betrayal to who I am now, right? Like, I'm not gonna do myself dirty and set myself up for 3 more years of school to be something I no longer want to be. And what I actually wanted to do with my life was explore my career in real estate further and not really have to work a 9 to 5 and go to court and all this stuff and read cases and all this paperwork. I shadowed a lawyer and he seemed absolutely miserable. I didn't want to do it. I knew that that wasn't who I was. I'm an entrepreneur at heart and I'm going to keep pursuing that. No matter how long it takes, I'm going to make it work because I simply said so. I have no other option. I'm going to make it work. And yeah, it really took me having to leave the country to come to that conclusion. But hey, you gotta do whatever you gotta do, right? Like, yeah, answer that question by taking that time for yourself. The question of would I date myself right now based on what I bring to the table? And I promise you, when you are ready to be in a relationship again, and you've truly taken the time to develop those skills and follow your ambitions and work towards your goals, you're going to show up in such a healthier relationship where it's two partners, right, working side by side, and you're not dependent on him for your success and your self-worth and validation and whatever. Like, that is all going to come from you, okay? Like, your self-worth is going to come from yourself and nobody else. And it is so crucial to work on that before entering a relationship so that it's healthy and you don't fall into this like disguised dependency trap. It's a trap, okay? And the person that ends up with the most damage is you. I promise you that it's you. It's definitely not going to be him. Like, he doesn't care. It's you. It's you that's going to lose so much self-worth, and that takes a long time to come back, okay? When you give up and lose a lot of self-worth to someone else, whether that's through a toxic relationship or just disguised dependency, it's gonna take a lot of years. I mean, maybe not even years. I don't know. I guess it just depends on the person of having to build that up again for yourself through developing these skills and really investing in yourself. Okay, let's talk about some practical takeaways. What can you do right now? Well, you first need to ask yourself, what do you like to do? What are your interests? And kind of start bouncing off of that through either a side hustle. It doesn't have to be a full job. It could be a job. It could be a little part-time job or whatever. It could be learning to invest. It could even be going as far as I don't know, taking time for yourself and being like, okay, goodbye world, not fully goodbye world, goodbye my current environment, and putting yourself into a new environment, because really figuring out what you want can get really confusing when it's been really clouded by everyone else's opinions of what they want from you. Okay? Go on a vacation. If you can't go on a vacation, just kind of like self isolate like a little bit, do some reflections, work out, just really think about what you want from your life for yourself. For yourself. Next, start surrounding yourself with driven women. Now, it's really hard when all your friends believe in gold digging and being sugar babies, because in that environment, you're the weird one for wanting to accomplish something for yourself. You're the one that's gonna get judged and put down. You're the one that's gonna feel out of place, and eventually you're gonna start doing the same thing. And it's so hard in our current society to just, be different. But if you want to be exceptional, you got to be the exception, right? And you got to get really comfortable with being the exception if you're going to stay in that friend group, or you're going to leave that friend group. Maybe not fully. You don't have to. You don't have to stop being friends with people just because your morals and your values don't align, even though it's really, really hard to stay friends with those types of people. I promise. Eventually, there will be conflict because, yeah, when you have friends, there's usually something that aligns between you two. Like either your values are the same, your morals are the same, your interests are the same. You gotta have some type of common ground to stay friends with someone. And when your values start shifting, the friendship starts shifting, and it's like a little earthquake. So, yeah, start to slowly distance and surround yourself with more driven women. This personally happened to me where my values and my morals didn't align with a past friend group, and so there was a little moment of earthquakeness going on. But when you surround yourself with people who understand you and have the same goals and ambitions and whatever, they want to be self-sufficient and actually accomplish something for themselves, you won't be the weird one, and you'll actually find this amazing flow of support just by being around women like that. Because when you're around people who are actually successful and accomplishing something and doing extraordinary things with your life, you want to do something with your life that's extraordinary too. You don't want to sit back and depend on anyone. You see these women with businesses and big ideas, and they're actually going for it. It gives you the confidence and inspiration to just go for it too. It's incredible. It truly is incredible. If you don't know where you can find women like that, just start going to events. Start going to talks. Start going to, I don't know, like literally anything that you feel like you gravitate towards. Odds are people with the same values and morals and dreams for their lives, well, they're gonna gravitate towards that too, okay? For example, I went to this like Mel Robbins talk show for her tour, her Let Them tour, and everyone in this auditorium was so cool. Like, people obviously were there for a reason, and a lot of those reasons were the same as mine, right? So things like that, if you're really into creative artistic things, you could go to like an art gallery and just like start talking to people who are creatives and creating stuff, like if you want to create a business or start a business, you got to know that beneath that entrepreneurial spirit is just like creativity, and creativity is so cool because it can be expressed in so many different ways. So even if you want to start a business, you're going to have a lot in common with an artist, right? Because you're both just creating. Or someone who's an author, you're both just creating. Look up some social clubs in your city. I belong to this really cool social club that has events every week, and I go to these events, and a lot of them will be, are related to things that I like specifically don't really do. It'll be like a tech event, for example, but the thing behind coders and people like myself is that we both like to create. It's like creators are creators. So just find the creators in your city. Um, yeah, so that would be my biggest piece of advice, actually. And then after doing all this, I want you to ask yourself, if I had to rebuild my life tomorrow, could I? And the reason why I want you to ask yourself this is because you need to get really comfortable with just restarting. You can't hold on to something that isn't working anymore, whether it's a way of life or a person or a dependency, just for the act of holding on and not wanting to start over. You need to be so okay with starting over. You need to be so okay with trying again, because that is what's going to set you apart from everyone else. People hold on to things and ideas and relationships or whatever because they're just too comfortable and too scared to start over. They don't want to start over. But if you truly want to be self-sufficient, you have to be okay with starting over. Because even if you're not dependent on a person, if you're dependent on something really working and just not working anymore, like that is still dependency. You have to be able to let go. You have to not be dependent on these expectations of things working out, because that's just life. A lot of things won't work out, so other things can work out even better. Okay, guys, that's basically all I have for this episode. I just want to stress one last time that being self sufficient really doesn't mean being alone, it just means being whole. Nobody else is there to complete you. You gotta complete yourself. And I just want to tease our next episode coming up. It's all about why your 20s aren't actually for finding yourself, they're for building yourself. So stop wasting your 20s. You're really not as young as you think. That's all I got for you guys. I can't wait to talk to you more, and I hope you guys go even more stellar this week. DM me with any of your stories, any questions you might have, and more conversation topics that you want me to cover in the future. Bye!